Hi, and welcome to My Bump to Business podcast, the podcast where I help you grow your family focused business with ease in the limited time you've got available. Now, last week I had some great feedback on the ideal client work, and it really does make sense, doesn't it? Working backwards, reverse engineering your ideal client, because sometimes it's easy to think, oh, I'd love to work with someone like that and that, and then actually you look at what they'd need and the hours that you'd need to work, and you think, hang on, actually maybe that isn't my ideal client. And you need to think about what your goals are really for your business before we dive into that ideal client work. And I found that really, really beneficial. So with my business, I'm very free now. In fact, so much so that I'm wanting to put more and more into my business, and I'm just trying to hold myself back to avoid overwhelming people. So you've got to create a business that works around you, works around what you want and your needs as well. And as I mentioned, Olivia Grace is going to be in preschool. Hopefully, I'm hoping she gets in the one I wanted to get in January. Now, the nursery she's at is amazing, but she's going to be going to this school and her brother is already at that school, so it's just going to make life so much easier for me. Anyway, once she goes into that school, that preschool in January, I was thinking, how many days am I going to put her in? I feel so guilty putting her in 4 days when I don't actually have to, but I love my business and I love helping business owners grow. I can't take on many more clients at the moment. I get the odd cancellations for one-to-ones. And yeah, I do like working with people one-to-one as well. Not as much as I love the membership and one-to-many side of things, just because I like being free a little bit now. But once I work 4 days, I'm planning on taking on more clients, which I'm really looking forward to. Maybe 1 day a week. I don't know yet. I've not figured that part out. But having your ideal client kind of created around your goals and what you want from your business is definitely the way to go. Anyway, we've already discussed all of that on last week's podcast, so I don't want to go into that too much, but the feedback was great. I'm already working on the course, like a mini course for you to suss out your ideal client with ease, and then that way you can work through the workbook and you will know who you want to serve, and you won't get to a point like I have before where I've thought my ideal client is this person, this person, this person. And actually, when we connect, I think, actually, it doesn't fit into my life. And also, I'm probably not the best coach for them either, because deep down, you're kind of a bit resentful that you've given up your weekend or, your evenings. And maybe you're not giving the person the best part of you as well. But anyway, that's for another episode. But today I want to talk a little bit. Now, we know about your ideal client, and if you've not listened to that, you can listen to this first and go back, that's fine. But I'm going to talk a bit about how to grow your brand authentically whilst building the know, like and trust factor on social media, because it can be quite tricky. Now, I obviously have had My Bump to Baby for 8 years now. I can't believe 8 years, over 8 years now, because it was the end of September 2016 when I started my business. And social media, I often can forget how overwhelming it can be. So first of all, you start this business, don't you? And you're like, right, start this business, it's brilliant. And you've created it a lot of the time based on all of the things that you would have wanted and that weren't necessarily available to you. So we create this amazing, amazing business. And then we're like, well, I've spent on the website, I've got some advertising, I'm listed in directories. And to be honest with you, that just simply is not enough. You have to be seen so many times before people connect with you. But not only that, this day and age, it's very different to how it used to be, even when I started in business, because people like buying from people and people like people. So I find that people really want to see the person behind the brand, and they want to know They want to feel like they know you. They want to feel like they trust you. And that is the best way to build up your business, especially in the early days as well. So with My Bump to Baby, I had to become the influencer of my own brand, because with SEO, which is where you get found on Google and search engines, they're long-term kind of things that you're going to work on. Of course, you can work on those and start building them right away, but it's not something that happens overnight. You really need to be giving yourself 6 to 12 months to really see those big results social on Google. And, also kind of building those connections. You need to be around a little bit before people are going to start buying from you. And that is the God's honest truth. And that's the thing. A lot of us have this kind of vision of, right, we're going to start a business. It's going to go wild. I'm going to take on a staff member in about a month. Honestly, I've been there. And realistically, there's a lot of business owners out there. And it's only when you get on social media that you start looking and thinking, oh, they're doing similar to me. They're doing similar to me. Or they pop up after you and you're like, oh, they've copied me. Or, and it's really, really difficult to stand out, especially on social media, because social media is the place where when you first start your business, you can get quick sales. On directories, again, people are going to book in with you that way. But the things that you can control, obviously, are social media. You do want your email list growing along in the background as well, but realistically, it's not something that's going to be an overnight kind of, right, everyone's working with me, I'm inundated, I need to take on staff members. And the sooner you realise that, you're not failing in business, because not everyone wants to book in with you straight away. It's a long-term game. And that is the thing. Let me just take a sip of this hot lemon. I'm trying to be healthy today. I got a bit of lemon in my mouth then. I didn't expect that. So with social media, the way you want to be different is you want to be seen as a person. You want people to know you so they can refer you, and also they feel like they know you. You want them to like you, and most importantly, you want them to trust you, because people don't, if you think about it, I always use this scenario, so if you've heard this before, I do apologise, but it really resonates. So Anthony Joshua is quite hot, okay? Obviously, I love my husband to bits, but I always use him as the example because he's okay. Anyway, but you wouldn't, if you saw Anthony Joshua and he was single and he was your ultimate crush, you saw him walking down the street, you won't just go over and go, will you marry me? Well, you might, but you need to build the relationship first. And just like if you're married now, or if you're with a long-term partner now, relationship builds over time, doesn't it? You don't just kind of go straight in, diving in, get married on day one. You get to know each other and you build that trust and you build that relationship. And that is the same for social media. Of course, you're not marrying these people. It's very different, but you are asking for them to part with their hard-earned money, okay, to work with you. And when there are quite a few people out there offering similar, not the same, services to you, it's really important that you stand out from the crowd. And yes, we can all post captions and pretty pictures and things like that. Of course, we have our Canva images that we give to our Academy members each month, and we have captions and things like that as well. Obviously, they help, but what you also need to do is you need to build that also important know, like, and trust factor. And today I'm going to be covering a few tips on how to do that with ease, okay? And if you want to make some notes while you're watching this, brilliant, do that. Listening to this, that's brilliant. But just listen on the go and you will pick up some little nuggets where you can really kind of connect with your audience on a different level. And you know what? I actually had to remind myself of this recently as well, because I forgot. So basically, when I first started My Bump to Baby in 2016, I was the influencer behind my brand because that was how I was going to grow my business. But also, I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved having lots of followers, engaged followers. And as My Bump to Baby grew, it started to frighten me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I had the odd comment of nastiness, the odd troll. It doesn't happen a lot, but that's when I decided, right, I want to take myself out of my bump to baby a little bit. It's gone far beyond my growth, and I'm quite happy for it to be its own thing without me kind of posting pictures all the time and things like that. And my bump to baby does work on its own, so we get 11,000 parents on each month. And it does, we get lots of people booking in with businesses and connecting with family law solicitors and all the rest of it, listening to the podcast, reading the blogs, which is great. But with this side of my business, which is where I'm really, really passionate about as well, is the business side of things and helping you guys grow your business. So only recently I switched my accounts over. So I've got My Bump to Baby on one account, which is where we look after people. We have podcasts, we show ourselves, we are visible, we work with experts as well. And we've got the on-demand area, which is, by the way, free. So if you're a new parent or expecting, please download that. You'll absolutely love it. There's loads of meditations and expert videos, and you can work with them on a deeper level if you want to as well. There's amazing people within there. Anyway, aside from that, with the business area, I actually had to remind myself of what I teach. And that's the thing. You do have to remind yourself sometimes, because we're all just kind of putting ourselves out there, wanting to be found, wanting to be seen. I, of course, am wanting to get people into my digital marketing academy to help them grow their business, save time, and also grow my business at the same time, because if they love it, they're going to recommend it to other people. And I know they're going to love it. So that's the thing. It's like, I knew that I needed to do that, but you can't just do that with pretty pictures. So there's 3 elements, in fact, 4 elements I'm going to share with you today that I know grow your audience, bring sales, bring results, but also in a really authentic way. So the first one is educational content. So educational content is where you showcase your expertise. So you're going to share value-driven content that educates your audience. Now, what you need to think about this is that sometimes there's a bit of a kind of pullback from business owners on this part in particular, because they're like, well, if I share everything, they're not going to want to work with me. And for a long time, I was exactly the same as you. If that's what you're thinking, I used to think, oh, well, if I give everything away on social media, then they might be like, oh, I don't want to work with her. But actually, that's not the case. So people value things differently. So if you read a post on social media, you're going to value that differently and take different actions than if you've paid to join a membership or a mastermind. So say, for example, you're in my digital marketing academy and you're paying £19.97 a month. You're going to want to get results from that quicker than if you were paying nothing and I'm just there kind of giving you all of this information for free. So yes, there are things that we share on social media that are in scope, and there'll be things that you share out of scope. You don't want to share everything, of course, but you do want to share real value in there, because what you're doing is you're showing them that you've got the expertise, you're the authority, you're the person in the know, and if you can help people before they've even paid anything, then people are going to be more likely to want to work with you long term or further down the line. So by sharing educational content, that really will increase your followers, increase your authority, and people, without even knowing, will be in your, I don't like to use this term, but it's true, within your sales funnel. And they might not know that they're in there yet, but if they're following your content, they're liking your posts, and they're engaging with you, they are within your area, okay? And they're within your sales funnel. And yes, we're not seeing these people as numbers, but at the end of the day, we are business owners and we do need to generate an income. So we need to know that our content is working. So if you're getting likes on your post, if you're getting comments on your post, people are in your funnels. And if you're not getting comments in your post or likes on your post, people are still watching you. Do you ever get those sales that come in and it's like, oh my goodness, like, where did that come from? And then all of a sudden you get a message saying, oh my God, so glad I joined. I've been watching for ages. I've wanted to join for ages. I'm like, hang on, you haven't even liked any posts. I would have never known. But people are always watching what you're doing, getting value from you. And not everyone likes posts. Not everyone comments. So really important to know that your educational post is really strong. And the more you give, the more you're going to get back. Okay. So if it makes it a little bit easier for you, what you can do is alternate these posts. That's what I went through ages ago when my mind was like just completely blown with everything that I was doing in social media. I would just say, right, on that day I share an educational post, that day I do that day I do that day I do that, and repeat. Okay, and that is a good way to stay on track. So educational posts can be things like how to, quick tips, solve common pain points. And what you're doing there is you position yourself as the go-to expert in your niche without overwhelming them. So, for example, if you're listening now, the week this goes out, you will know, and you're a sleep expert, you'll know the clocks are going to change soon. So, sharing tips on handling the clock change or starting to handle that, put things in place to help parents' lives easier without the kids. I always forget the order, but basically stop the children either staying up extra late or waking up extra early. Yeah, I'm trying to think what that is. But anyway, I'll have to come back to that one. You might have to remind me. But also, for people that are in the birthing industry, you might be thinking, right, what should parents really be thinking about in October, in November? Safe sleep. You want to be checking the Lullaby Trust website before you post any content. And you want to be having a look at making sure that you're really providing parents with value. So say you are in the birthing industry and you're a doula, you might want to think about, it's hard to go back, isn't it, sometimes to remember things when you didn't know them. That's why it's really important when someone asks you a question on social media or in an email or before working with you, make a note of those questions, because those questions are gold. They're gold dust, because if this one person has asked you the question, no doubt other people are thinking about this as well. So make a note of those questions. But things like, what pain relief is available? What is an epidural? And a great way to do this is if you're in our Digital Marketing Academy, you can post questions into the group. Give me your common asked questions, and it's really good way for different people in different industries to ask questions. See, I'm not an expert in birth, so I've had C-sections, and I knew I was having the C-sections fairly early on. So I wasn't really looking into birth plans. I wasn't really looking into what the process is, what a bloody show is, what happens with contractions and things like that, what they are, timing them. All of those things are questions that people will want to know, especially first-time parents. And let's face it, every birth is different, isn't it? So sharing just simple tips on what to ask your midwife at the first appointment, or what you're actually allowed to have and what you're not allowed to have. I mean, there's so much talk around all of this. And, if you are one of these people where you're just polite and, you don't question things. And I know in my first birth with George, I was just like, yeah, okay. And I didn't realise you have a choice with things. So I think actually sharing those helpful tips with parents will help them beyond belief, really. So I think it's really a case of thinking about what your goals are for your business, what your expertise are, and sharing helpful content around that. Now, by sharing educational content, it doesn't mean that someone's not going to work with you, because people work with you on different levels, as I just mentioned. If someone's going to pay for a one-to-one with you, it means that they can actually pick your brains themselves, and you can provide them with actually key tips based on their struggles. Or if someone purchases your ebook, you're going to give them all of the information in a lovely packaged up book. They're not going to have to scroll through all your social media posts, all your blogs. People just don't have the time to do it. So you've got people working with you on different levels. Also, if someone is, a lot of my clients have people who work with them in different time zones. So people with clients in Australia or America. And it just means that people can purchase things, get your inspiration, get your knowledge, but without actually having to work with you one-to-one. So there's lots of different ways you can work with people, and I always encourage that, not only for helping your clients, but also it helps you grow your business and generate that income in all the different ways that you can. So educational blogs, social posts, video content, you can do it in all different ways, and I would alternate between them. And something that I really want to tell you is getting visible on videos is really hard at first. Even I struggle with it now. I still struggle with it, but I force myself to do it because I just think it's going to get easier. But as someone with no filter, it is quite tricky sometimes doing that. But just put yourself in that position. There is a great place where you can record content, and it's called Riverside. I'll drop my link below. Obviously you don't have to go through my link at all, but it's called Riverside, and if you do go through my link, let me know and I'll give you some quick tips on how to do it. But this is a great way to share content, look professional, because it captures your picture is so good. You can record podcasts on there, videos, you can invite guests on, and it puts your captions on for you. It does the transcript for you, but also it can generate reels as well. So sometimes if I'm wanting to change my content a little bit, I'll generate reels and videos of me talking. The amount of them that go wrong. I should make a blooper tape, to be honest, of all of the ones that actually go wrong on there. But it puts them really, really nice. It kind of puts really nice content on there. Then what I do is I upload it to Canva, and then I'll download it to my phone and post it on the go. So educational content is definitely key. I'm conscious this episode is going on a bit long, actually. I didn't think I had loads to say on this, but obviously I do. Surprise myself sometimes. Let me just cough, sorry. I've got a terrible cough at the moment. The next thing that you do want to share is you want to share vulnerability. Now, this is how you build genuine connection. So if you go on my social media, I actually shared a really heartfelt post the other day, and it was really hard right now, actually. So just a trigger warning around miscarriage here. But I do mention that I had a twin miscarriage, and I was so stressed all of that time. I was building my bump to baby, and I was trying to kind of help parents, help families, help people through, connect with birth experts and things. And all the while, I was going through all of this myself. And it was a real struggle, and I did go through a really stressful time. And obviously in business, you're trying to wear all the hats, aren't you? But anyway, if you have a look at that post on there, as long as it's not going to trigger anything or any sad feelings or anything like that, have a look at that. But that post actually had a lot more likes than other posts that I post. And it's just me sharing my personal story and being a bit vulnerable. And the more vulnerable you can be, yes, it can be scary, but it actually shows that you're human. And other people go through things as well. And it's a really great way to connect with people on a deeper level and share your journey and show that, especially when you've come out the other side. So say, for example, you are a hypnobirthing expert, and the reason why you started that is because you had a really traumatic birth that led to postnatal depression, that led to a really low time in your life. Then don't be afraid to share that, because that is so powerful. That is where connections are really, really made. So building those vulnerability stories. I mean, a lot of us start our business because of a story, because of a background. So I had terrible postnatal depression with my first son, George. Bless him, he was born at 33 weeks. So he was in the neonatal unit, and it was a bit of a traumatic birth. I thought I was going to die. And actually, because of that anxiety and that, I could just all the time I was getting all these negative thoughts. So I created my bump to baby basically as a focus for me to put good back into the world after I went through a negative time. And that's why I created it. And I did talk about that story a lot. And sometimes you can feel like, oh, am I talking about this a bit too much? But there's always a different way to say something as well. So if you're struggling for vulnerability stories, think about a really challenging time. And you might think, oh, but that isn't that bad compared to that, or that isn't that bad. It's bad. It's still bad. Everyone's stories are different. And what you've been through, whatever it is, it was bad to you and it is bad to someone else. And, everyone, whatever you struggle with is hard, and it's hard to share. So if you can share that, you might want to share about how you started your business and the reason behind it. That's a good place to start. sometimes another good idea, which I encourage clients to do, is journal their story over the last 5-10 years since they had kids, and just share some trigger points, and you will come up with so many challenging times that you can share with your ideal clients, and that is where you build that important connection. Okay, I'm conscious this is going on a bit long. I'm so sorry. So you can talk about your journey and struggles, wins as a parentpreneur. Let your audience see the real you behind the brand. And you can do this on your stories as well. A lot of the time I talk on my stories about balancing or not balancing business and life. You want to show empathy towards your clients' challenges and acknowledge that you've been there. So when you share your vulnerabilities and where you are now by doing the work, it builds that social proof as well, and it also puts you in that position of authority, that you know what you're talking about, you've come through the other side, and you're a few steps ahead of them, and that's great. That's what they want to see. They want to see that there is a way out, or there is light at the end of the tunnel of where they are at the moment. And when it comes to your clients, a lot of the time when they do want to work with you, as I mentioned in the last podcast, it's from an area of pain, because they're struggling with something or something's keeping them awake at night. So this is a really good way to show them that you can help them. And it's a really good way to connect with the pain points as well. And then social proof as well. You want to make sure you're getting those reviews and testimonials from people. People sometimes aren't forthcoming in sharing testimonials, case studies, reviews. And we get a lot of businesses that want to advertise on My Bump to Baby, and they want to renew every year. And I always think, I'm scared to ask for reviews. Like, what if they haven't got much? Or what if they... At the end of the day, we can't control that. You know, it's all down to the parents. We can't make people book in with people. But what we can do is ask for feedback to improve, or at least ask for feedback so that we know we're on track with the right thing and the pricing point and everything else. So ask your clients for reviews. There are ways you can automate this, and that's something that we're going to be actually putting together in a package for people very soon. So if you don't have time to chase reviews and you want to find out how to automate this, we can set that up for you. Maybe by the time you're listening, that might be something that we offer. But also, as well as that, if you have got the time, get those reviews. And at least what I would do is I'd always ask for them to fill in a survey. So if you go on Google Forms, you can actually create a survey, create a link, and at the end of it, ask parents to join the survey and maybe give a gift or a freebie in return for filling it out. But that's a great way to get testimonials and get a real true reflection of where you're at, and then you can use those testimonials as well. You don't have to put the person's name on it. I wouldn't, for privacy reasons, but unless they say to. But definitely share those on your website, share them in your story, share them. I would say every 4 posts I would be sharing testimonial if you can. You might look at mine and think, you've not done that in a while, and I've been putting it on my stories. But if you are one of these people that likes to just do things by the book, I would always say every 4 posts, share a testimonial, because it just means that people, when they're looking at your business on Instagram especially, and they're seeing the grid, they're getting that social proof at the first glance. So that's ticked a box for them right away. You want people to leave you Google reviews. So if you go through your survey and then you've got really good reviews on there, you could also go back to them and say, here's your freebie. I loved your feedback. Would you mind if I shared it? And also, would you mind just leaving it as a Google review for me? That is going to help increase your Google Maps listing. If you've got a Google My Business listing, you want to kind of go above those competitors, don't you? And then you can use stories as well. And I'd use stories for behind the scenes, a bit of fun, showing what you're up to each day, and just really showcasing you. That is a little bit about what I'd share. Now, this podcast has gone on a little longer than normal, so I'm so sorry about that. If you are ready to take your business to the next level, you can join our Digital Marketing Academy. I've popped the link underneath this podcast for you. And if you're not, please still continue to listen. I'm here to help you and support you however I can. Now, I have also got, each month we release Canva images and captions and ideas. So if you want to join that, let me know. I will put the latest link on there for you for the October images. We do sell out of those quite quickly, so if you do get to a sellout page, then you won't get access to those this month, but keep an eye ready for next month. As well as that, within the Digital Marketing Academy, you do get access to all of the Canva images, captions, Wednesdays, workbooks, as well as all of our courses as well. And that's £19.97 a month. Anyway, I'm going to go. I would love to hear your feedback on this episode, how you found it. If you've come up with a plan, tag me in anything. I'd love to hear your feedback. And I'll speak to you next week on the My Bump to Business podcast. See you soon.